Metafiction. Fiction about fiction. A book that reflects on what a book is, or could be. It self-consciously plays with the form of the book. Is this a book, or is it a dog? It has a leash. It has a tail that can wag. People who don't know any better call this sort of thing postmodern, but please don't. This Winsor McCay comic reflected on its own artifice back in 1909, during modernism. During the Renaissance, the second half of Don Quixote reflected on the first half. Characters in the second half have read the first half. That was in 1615. So, to repeat, metafiction. Postmodern, separate issue. Metafiction for young readers can be purely playful, as in Dave Pilkey's Captain Underpants series. It can be a formal experiment, as in Lane Smith and John Sheska's The Stinky Cheese Man and Other Fairly Stupid Tales, in which characters leave their stories, join other stories, and rank cheese begins to melt one illustration. Metafiction can provoke questions. For example, in what ways does the U.S. justice system depend upon the performance of race? Or, how do you read a book in which 4 interconnected stories unfold simultaneously? How do you read a book that can be read both right side up and upside down? These 2 books also use meta-pictures, pictures that reflect upon the nature of pictures, and that invite us to reflect on the nature of pictures. The duck-rabbit image is perhaps the most famous. Is this a duck, or is it a rabbit? It is, of course, a duck. Or maybe it's a rabbit. No, I'm pretty sure it's a duck. Rabbit, duck, rabbit, duck, rabbit, duck, rabbit, duck, rabbit, duck, rabbit. A metafictional book can be interactive, such as Charlie Bauer's Mother Goose book, in which you must lift the flap to animate and complete the rhymes. We might also think of pop-up books as metafictional, because they challenge the assumption that the page is two-dimensional. Of course, metafictional books may do none of these things. There's nothing inherently liberating or stimulating about the form itself. Peter Newell's Topsies and Turvies is clever, but in some of its illustrations, it traffics in racial stereotypes. A book that is self-consciously playing with its form is not necessarily conscious of racism, sexism, classism, or any other ism you care to name. That said, at its best, and in most of the books I've been showing you here, metafiction can open up imaginative possibilities, as in David Wiesner's The Three Pigs, in which the characters take charge of their own story, cobbling together a new one. Or Crockett Johnson's Harold and the Purple Crayon, in which the title character is the author of his own story. As Jackson Pollock biographer Deborah Solomon writes, Harold and the Purple Crayon is the children's art book she recommends most because it says that, quote, one well-worn, stubby crayon could allow you to dream up a whole universe, which of course it can. There's no better art lesson than that, end quote. And for me, there's no better example of the power of metafiction.